Okay.
Good morning. It's 9 a.m. and I will now call this meeting to order. As is customary for this board, we will begin our meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we will move to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Second.
Mr. Sturtevant,
Yes.
Ms. Kilgore,
Yes.
Ms. Ashton,
Yes.
Mr. Hanson,
Yeah.
Mr. Rotherham,
Yes.
Dr. Northern,
Yes.
Ms. Holton,
I'm sorry, what am I just?
agenda,
Agenda.
Yes.
and chair votes aye. Okay, and staff has provided us with the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Is there a motion to approve the draft minutes as presented to the board?
Second.
Mr. Sturtevant,
Aye.
Ms. Kilgore, Ms. Ashton,
Aye.
Mr. Hanson, Mr. Rotherham,
Aye.
Dr. Northern,
Aye.
Ms. Holton,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Okay, so this morning we have recognition of Music in Schools Month, and we have a special presentation before us today. And so if you would come up and introduce your, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Holton, are you going to be doing excuse me?
I am delighted today to recognize, invite the board to recognize March as Music in Our Schools Month, Theater in Our Schools Month, and Youth Art Month. I am particularly pleased to recognize that we have some special guests today with us to help honor that moment. The board recognizes that knowledge and skills that students acquire through fine arts instruction include the ability to think critically, solve problems resourcefully, communicate effectively, work collaboratively, understand historical context, and exercise creative thinking by employing originality, flexibility, and imagination. The board adopted revised standards of learning for K-12 dance, music, theater, and visual arts in May of 2020. The standards emphasize the importance of fine arts instruction as part of a comprehensive education in Virginia public schools. And I'll take a moment of personal privilege to talk about the wonderful fine arts instruction that my own children received over the years in Virginia's public schools. Please join me in recognizing March as Music in Our Schools Month, Theater in Our Schools Month, and Youth Art Month. This morning, we will hear from a student quartet, Quattro Voci. I've got my pseudo-Latin right, from Glen Allen High School in Henrico, Virginia. The group sings at major events throughout the year and recently finished undefeated during competition season. Congratulations. They received first place, a superior rating, and best vocal quality in the a cappella division at the Thomas Dale Choral Invitational. They received first place treble choir, a superior rating, and best vocal quality at the Costi Classic Choral Invitational. Finally, they received first place a cappella choir, a superior rating, and best vocal quality at the Hanover Festival of Choirs. Welcome, Quattro Voci, and we would love to hear from you now.
Doomba doomba dooba doomba 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 dooba doomba 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 dooba doomba 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 and sing right on. Just rolling on, doomba doomba, I'm just rolling on, doomba doomba, because I'm queen of the blues of the world. just singing a song, just singing a song. Glory, hallelujah, I just follow the parson before I get ready to call. Just Humpty Dumpty, I'm ready to fall. I'm singing on top. Just rolling along, just rolling along. I'm sitting on top of the world, rolling along, rolling along. Bum, ba, 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 bum, bum, I'm queen of this, just singing a song, just singing a song. Glory, hallelujah, I just found the voice of before you ready to call. Just like Humpty Dumpty, I'm ready to fall because I'm sitting on top of the world. Just singing a song, just singing a song. I'm singing on top of the world. Through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. Between the end of a storm, the golden sky and the sweet song. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. When you're tired and lost, hold your friends with care. Their hearts give you strength to go on. At the end of the day, I know you'll be there, finding peace, warmth, finding love. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and wrong. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk, you'll never walk, you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much. We are
Thank
so
you.
appreciative of you being here with us to celebrate this wonderful March celebration that we have in the Commonwealth. And I know it goes without saying that that's a wonderful way for us to start our meeting today. And really grounds us in what we are doing here today. So I'm very appreciative of that opportunity for us to have students here with us performing. So now we'll move to the public comment section of our meeting. And as stated in the board's bylaws, it's my pleasure to accept public comment on all matters related to public education in Virginia. But before we begin public comment today, I want to share a few comments about the manner in which public comment will be conducted. We ask that you model professionalism, dignity, and respect for others as you share your thoughts today. And as adults, it's important that we model respectful, civil public discourse for our students and children who are either in attendance today, as you see, or viewing this stream both now and in the future. When you begin, please provide your name or your role and affiliation. All of your remarks must be directed to the chair, not to any other individual. Speakers will have 3 minutes to share their remarks. You'll notice that I guess there's a timer up here. We're not in our usual space, so we had to make some accommodations. So you will notice that there's the timer on the screen. It'll begin for your 3 minutes at green. At 1 minute, the screen will turn yellow. And then when your time is up, the screen will turn red. At that point, please close your remarks promptly. And speakers may provide your comments to Mr. Joe Crook over there. And we will certainly be passing them out to the rest of the board. All written comments received during the public comment will be collected and provided to us as soon as possible. So also you can email a copy of your remarks if you so choose to Jim Chapman, our Director of Board Relations. And so with that, I will start with our list that signed up. And number 1 is Kathy Halverson. And then behind Kathy will be Douglas Hankeson. Is Kathy here? Okay. Is Douglas Hankeson here? Okay. Next is Alphebia. Okay. Della War. Amy Griffin. And after Amy will be Sharon Fitz. Good morning.
Well, good morning, President Creasy, Dr. Coons, and Virginia Board of Education members. My name is Amy Griffin. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the Virginia Association of School Superintendents. I'm here on behalf of the VAST Board of Directors and Executive Director Scott Brabrand to comment on a couple of items before you today and yesterday in your work session regarding the proposed new accountability framework for Virginia schools. I believe you received an email with these comments. Item 1, growth weighting. Increase the growth weighting by creating Model 3 for elementary and middle that has 50% mastery, 40% growth, and 10% readiness indicators. VAST continues to believe that growth is important in any new accountability system. While we had hoped for growth to be weighted equally, VAST can accept a Model 3 approach that has 50% mastery, 40% growth, and 10% readiness indicators. Item 2, readiness indicators for elementary and middle school need further development. We understand and accept the decision to include chronic absenteeism in the elementary and middle school indicators. However, the additional indicators for both elementary and middle school need additional development. For elementary school, we need clarification on what exactly performance tasks are that will be assessed. For middle school, we will request that there'll be a menu of additional indicators to choose from beyond chronic absenteeism, and those menu choices reflect best practices in middle grades education programming designed for the unique characteristics of young adolescents. Proposed focus on high school course work at middle school will exacerbate current inequities in high school course availability among school districts, as well as the current shortage of high school endorsed teachers at the middle school level. In addition, course completion of a single high school course may not indicate overall readiness for high school. Passing an end of course test does not demonstrate readiness for high school. It represents successful completion of a high school course. Item 3, keep the GCI as our graduation indicator. As VAST shared with you at our January meeting, we are concerned about the feedback of using only the federal graduation indicator and dropping the graduation completion index for high school students. Dropping the GCI, which has served Virginia students for almost 20 years, eliminates the opportunity for students, especially students with disabilities, to have other certified paths to graduation, such as applied studies diploma, and the GED. Please keep the GCI as our indicator. Item 4, no A through F are symbols, but create clear descriptive terms for school summative levels. FAST continues to strongly advocate against school summative levels that incorporate an A through F grading system for schools or a summative symbol-based system. FAST does believe clear descriptive terms for school summative levels is the best way to communicate school success for our stakeholders. Item 5, delineate specific supports and resources to school divisions beyond those that perform at the bottom 5%. We agree on the need for supports for school performing in the bottom 5%. Those supports must be extensive and timely to school divisions. We also want to see more specific information about VDOE supports for schools who do not fall in the designation, but who may need targeted assistance. Please consider expanding VTSS resources as a possible solution. We look forward to continuing to partner with you on this important work. It just turned 0.
Thank you. Okay, Sharon Fitz. Sharon Fitz here. Michael Carabinos. And followed by Michael will be Jeffrey Coop.
Good morning. I'm Michael Carabinos. I am a parent in Chesterfield, and I'm also here on behalf of Virginia Public Education Partners. It is said that every trans suicide is a homicide. I'll say that again. Every trans suicide is a homicide. What else could it be? Because we know how to prevent it. We know because our doctors and our psychiatrists overwhelmingly have been telling us for decades, for a century, how to prevent trans suicide. It is through affirmation and acceptance. We know. We know that rejection, oppression, and denial of the self causes trans suicide. So we know. And if we know how to prevent trans suicide, and we know what leads to trans suicide, and we choose a path that causes death, what else could that be called but homicide? Oklahoma schools chose the path of rejection and oppression and denial, and a life has been lost as a result. Virginia last year put forward a model policy that mirrors Oklahoma policies in many ways. I asked this board to choose life. I asked this board to withdraw the 2023 model policies designed by a manufactured moral panic fed by disinformation, designed for rejection, oppression, and denial, and return to the policy prior to it that brought affirmation and acceptance. And I asked this board to choose life. And in light of lives, I'd like a moment of silence as I read some names of victims of policies, rejection, and oppression. Praveen Nath, Onyx Jung, Nova Dunn, Corey Hall, Xander Nicholas Maffey, Nex Benedict, Phyllis Joy, Pran Shu, Leela Alkern, Fouad, Blake Brockington, Rebwar Ibrahim, Elu Kansen, Eden Knight, Tristan Bustos, Armaya Lewis Daniel, Mile Mazurisky, Sharon Celine Matthew, Anaya, Cherry Valentine, Lucy Meadows, Daphne Dorman.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Jeffrey Coop. Is Jeffrey Coop here? How about Deanna Lester? Deanna Lester? Olivia and Carter Mellon? Sorry if I said your name wrong.
This thing work? Okay. Good day. Thank you for taking time to listen to my public comment. I have provided you with some information pertaining to my speech. My name is Olivia Moline, and I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. I have been identified as both, both gifted and autistic. In Norfolk, Virginia, we had a very interesting problem in our city government a while back involving the Norfolk Community Services Board. It turns out that an employee was getting paid for not working, and it added up to hundreds of thousands of dollars over 12 years. This is commonly called a ghost employee fraud. Somehow no one went to prison after this, even after it made national news. Years after that, I was under the Norfolk Community Services Board because of Norfolk Public Schools teachers. This funded me to a private school that serves children with specific labels, including emotionally disturbed, juvenile offenders, psychotic disorder, substance abuse, and sex offenders. This school had a built-in seclusion room, which was used to confine children without arrest or conviction. Now, there has been a state mandated committee for this kind of thing since 1993. It's called the Family Assessment Planning Team, and it funds private schools as well as foster care. The Community Services Board is legislated to be on that team. It is important for children and parents to know what state and federal agencies can bring civil and criminal action against this committee when it does not work correctly. I do not know why I was funded to a school for criminals, addicts, and the mentally ill, but I do know that the people that educate didn't have the money, and the people with the money can't educate. I need to know who at the state and federal level can fix this. Again, thank you for your time. I'm enclosing my father's contact information below. I give this to you. I give this to you? Okay.
Thank you.
These are just some extra copies. So, the best I could do.
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, that ends our sign up list today. And so if there's anyone else in the public that would like to comment, please go ahead and line up behind the microphone, please. And make sure that you provide us with your name and your affiliation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. James J. Fetterman, President of the Virginia Education Association, a proud middle school music teacher from Accomack County located on the beautiful Eastern Shore. I am here to speak on behalf of the VEA on the proposed changes to the accreditation and accountability system, item L. In the fall of last year, you conducted listening tours, and your summary of that feedback in January stated that there were general agreement growths should be at least weighted equally to achievement, if not more. The proposed weighting system in item L to the board calls for the opposite, diminishing growth to a top range of 20 to 25% in elementary and middle schools, and not including it at all for high schools. This board has also talked extensively before about the importance of using growth to measure a school's quality, to improve student achievement, and not just reflect on the demographics by using raw pass rates. You as the board have the autonomy to listen to the feedback you received in the fall and your instincts and create a system that places the most emphasis on growth. It's critical in the development of a new performance framework to consider the end goal, which is for student achievement to improve because schools improve. Currently, according to JLARC, the Office of School Quality does not have the capacity to support schools that are not fully accredited with much more than additional paperwork and reporting. Given the reality, we understand and support the position of reserving intense support by the Office of School Quality for the federal minimum of the 5% bottom performing schools in whatever performance index is finalized. Virginia must move away from a system where only where we only have the capacity to place burdensome compliance reporting on schools not meeting state standards. In terms of the indicators within the performance framework, we should look to see additional clarity on the performance task proposed for readiness at the elementary level. At the middle school level, we do not believe that proficiency on a single high school test level indicates readiness, and additional options are needed for indicators. We support the continuation of using the graduation and completion index at the high school level, as it provides credit to schools for directing students towards applied studies diplomas and GEDs. Given that graduation is so strongly linked to improved life outcomes, we feel this critical indicator should have at least equally weight to mastery. Lastly, I ask that you remove from the regulations of the language to assign schools into at least 4 performance categories on an annual basis. A summative score such as a star rating, or letter grades would not provide the level of nuance parents need to make informed decisions. Parents could easily be misguided by a summative score based on mostly mastery to enroll their students in a school with high pass rates but low growth. As we've seen in other schools in other states, the type of summative score may also contribute to worsening racial segregations in our schools. I ask you not to incorporate a single summative ratings in our school. Thank you so much for your time and your attention to this matter.
Thank you.
I love the timer. It's taking me back to my high school debate days. Let's see if I've still got it. Okay. Hi, my name is Sydney McGee, and I'm the Chief of Education and Intern Development for the Virginia Spaceport Authority. I was a teacher for a long time. I taught for 7 years in the K through 12 space, and I've taught in both public and private schools, and I have some experience working in admissions as well. And the Virginia Spaceport Authority is a political subdivision of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're based on Wallops Island, Virginia, where we own the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, or MARS for short, and we launched the Electron and Antares rockets out there. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to briefly say that the cluster of aerospace organizations out at Wallops Island on the Eastern Shore are very excited about the Lab Schools initiative, because in the world of STEM, innovation and passion are 2 essential drivers for success, which for us means granting this country continued assured access to space. And we know that lab schools, when boiled down to their simplest terms, are about innovation and encouraging critical thinking, which are definitely things that we need in the aerospace industry. And in my experience, children are naturally big dreamers, and they naturally think outside of the box. And lab schools are a really wonderful driving force that encourage that. And schools are wonderful places. Like I mentioned, I taught in them for a long time. And sometimes we have to think outside of the box and traditional schooling to find some other pathways for students to get into STEM and other things. So it's really wonderful that lab schools are stood up and supported by existing academic institutions, because that encourages students to start thinking about next steps in their academic journey and career paths even younger. And at VSA, we hire people from a variety of academic backgrounds, from people who have GEDs all the way up to PhDs. And by attending a school that's directly connected with a higher learning institution, students can hopefully be more likely to consider what pathway they should track themselves on in order to potentially become one of my colleagues in STEM in the future, hopefully. So we are really excited at the Virginia Spaceport Authority, and everyone else in the aerospace cluster is really excited, because we know several of the lab schools that are coming down the pathway are kind of STEM oriented and have a STEM focus. So just wanted to express that. So thank you very much. 30 seconds left.
Thank you.
Well, good morning. My name is Lou Fincher, and I serve as the Senior Vice President and Dean of our School of Health Sciences at Emory and Henry College. I also have the pleasure to serve as the chair of our governing board for the planned lab school that we've entitled the Southwest Virginia Healthcare Excellence Academy Lab School, or HEALS for short. I want to thank Zach Jacobs for inviting me to be able to come here and participate in this public comment section of your agenda this morning. I'm here to provide comments on the importance and the need for the college partnership laboratory schools throughout the entire Commonwealth, as well as in my region of Southwest Virginia. As intended, the Lab School Initiative has led to the creation of many innovative programs with academic and career exploration and career preparation focus areas such as STEM, as was just mentioned, healthcare, teacher education, and many, many more. I found that one of the greatest strengths of the College Partnership Lab Schools is that it promotes a strong collaborative partnership between higher education institutions, K-12 schools, and the employers and industry leaders that will create our workforce for the future. This collaborative team breaks down the silos that typically exist between K-12 schools, higher education institutions, and then employers, bringing us all to the table to collaborate on what is needed to serve our communities. So lab schools provide innovative teaching and learning models that emphasize experiential learning, career exploration, and the development of career readiness skills. But these programs also support economic development for our communities throughout the Commonwealth, providing solutions for workforce shortages, providing students with the opportunity to explore and pursue a career pathway, which will in turn promote students' social and economic mobility. The unique and innovative focus of lab schools enable these programs to meet the unique needs of their students and the local communities. Our Southwest Virginia HEALS program does just that, in that we have identified a healthcare workforce shortage in Southwest Virginia and come together to prepare to put together a program that will actually grow our own pipeline to help students identify healthcare careers and be able to match those into career opportunities in our region. I want to applaud the Board of Education for your work in reviewing and approving the handful of quality lab school programs thus far, and I know you have several on your agenda today. I also want to say a special thank you to Governor Youngkin and Secretary Gadira for their support and leadership of this initiative, and certainly want to have a shout out to Andy Armstrong for his guidance and technical support to all of the applicants for lab school applications. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, President Creasy, Vice President Hanson, members of the Virginia Board of Education, and Dr. Coons. For the record, my name is J.T. Kessler. I'm here representing the Virginia School Boards Association. VSBA would like to express our thanks to Dr. Coons for attending a screening of the Right to Read documentary in collaboration with the VSBA Task Force on Students in Schools in Challenging Environments at our offices in Charlottesville earlier this month. This was a powerful event that is continuing the dialogue amongst education leaders, stressing the importance of student literacy and its impact on the growth and development of students. Yesterday, the board was presented with options for a new school performance framework. VSBA appreciates the work of the department and the due diligence of the board as this process has evolved. VSBA wishes to stress the importance of the growth measure in both the elementary and middle school models presented for the board's consideration. Students arrive at our schools with varying degrees of mastery. With the high percentage of weight dedicated to mastery, combined with the low percentages assigned to student growth in both models presented to the board, VSBA is concerned these models will not accurately reflect the work our students, teachers, support staff, and administrators are doing each day. We are worried these models will reward schools and communities with resources while punishing communities in challenging environments. We would ask the board to reconsider these percentages by weighing mastery and growth on an equal level in its performance framework for elementary and middle schools. By failing to place a higher percentage of emphasis on growth, the use of a rating or summative method to communicate accountability results about our schools will have unintended consequences. We spoke last fall in opposition to an AF model, a series of stars, or word descriptor as labeling schools. We encourage the board to avoid such labels and develop a system that drives needed resources to schools in highest need based on measures in the performance framework. In conclusion, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. VSBA appreciates the work you are doing and looks forward to continued dialogue as you work through this process.
Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board, Superintendent Coons, and others. My name is Todd Truitt. I'm a parent of 2 school-age children, and I'm here today from Arlington, Virginia. I'm here today to advocate for the board to include as a readiness factor at the middle school level, the percentage of students who pass a high school end of course exam by the end of 8th grade. My reasoning, such a factor will provide a very strong incentive for school districts to, one, not only offer algebra by 8th grade, but two, help prepare kids in advance to successfully take algebra by 8th grade. Civil rights leader Bob Moses referred to the ability to take algebra by 8th grade as a civil rights issue. It's been a longstanding goal of the U.S. Department of Education and many organizations. That way, kids can take without doubling up geometry in 9th grade, algebra 2 in 10th grade, pre-calculus in 11th, and calculus in 12th. That math sequence is crucial for kids who are not only interested in STEM careers, but any quantitative field such as economics or business. In the U.S., what schools are not offering algebra by 8th grade? Disproportionately, schools serving lower income or underrepresented minority students. States can require schools offer algebra in 8th grade. For instance, North Carolina, New York, and Texas do. I think the Virginia legislature should pass a law requiring it too. But you all adding such a readiness factor also likely results in it being universally offered in Virginia. Florida has a similar readiness factor in its accountability measurements. And a survey by the RAND Corporation showed 99% of Florida middle schools offered algebra by 8th grade. Conversely, in the same survey in California, where such course is not required and there's no similar readiness factor, 1/3 of schools surveyed did not offer algebra by 8th grade. But just offering it is not enough. School districts need to start as early as possible to prepare as many kids as possible to take algebra by 8th grade. The Board of Education adding this readiness factor will provide that incentive. Notably, kids with money are already being prepared in Virginia, in private schools and via tutors and private math supplement companies like Kumon and Russian Math. But for excellent public school algebra readiness efforts, we can already look within Virginia to Fairfax County Public Schools. One of FCPS's strategic plan's goals is to have as many kids as possible successfully take algebra by 8th grade. FCPS Superintendent Michelle Reed has spoken about how their algebra readiness efforts start in early elementary. She was recently favorably featured in the Wall Street Journal for such efforts. In sum, I urge you to make the percentage of students who pass a high school end of course exam by the end of 8th grade a readiness factor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak before we close the public comment section of our meeting today? Okay, thank you. At this time, the board will go into closed session, and I would ask Mr. Hanson to please provide us with that motion.
I move that the Virginia Board of Education convene in a closed meeting for the following purposes: consultation with legal counsel employed by or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring a provision of legal advice by such counsel pursuant to section 2.2-3711A8 of the Code of Virginia, and that legal counsel to Virginia Board of Education staff whose presence will aid in the board's consideration of this matter participate in the closed meeting.
Can I get a second? Okay. All in favor?
Right.
Aye. Okay, the board will now go into closed session. Thank you all.